Okay, let's go ahead and go to our mini lesson. This is where you're going to get upset today because you're going to say, why did I choose that element, Mr. Edwards? Why did I choose to be gold? Why did I choose to be neon? Oh, no, it's okay. You had to be those, didn't you? Okay, so team, what we're going to do today, we're going to do the 3 levels of text protocol. The 3 levels of text protocol is where we look at a piece of text and we analyze it in 3 steps. The first step, or the first level, is the literal level. We're just going to read it and think about, not even think about, we're just going to read it and say one thing that we saw in the text, or one thing that we learned from the text. You're just recalling something from the text. That's level 1, literal level. Level 2 is the interpret level. And this is where you take what you saw or learned and connect it back to something that we learned in the past 8 weeks. Okay, something that you've learned in the past 8 weeks. Then we go to level 3, and this is the hardest level. This is the implications level. And you're going to try to figure out how what you saw, learned about in this text is going to affect you in the long run. How is it going to affect the murder mystery? How is it going to affect your ability to solve the mystery? How do the connections you made impact how you're going to solve the murder mystery or what you think about the murder mystery? So we have 3 levels, 3 levels. We are going to go ahead and start with reading this. And the way in which we're going to do our 3 levels is we're going to do it through a checkup. So the checkup activity, there are 3 questions: level 1, level 2, level 3. And there's a sentence stem. So what is something that you learned from the reading? I learned that blank. This is the literal level. That's the one we're going to start on right now. I'm going to put the link in the chat for you. The link is going right in the chat for you. And we will get moving along. Can I get a volunteer to read about Miss Oxygen? So here we have Mrs. Oxygen. She is a gas, floats in the air, okay? She can create water with hydrogen, carbon dioxide with carbon, and sulfur dioxide with sulfur. And she is reactive to multiple metals, most metals actually, and their color will change. And then Mrs. Oxygen's husband was murdered. Okay, right now, first level, the literal level, in the checkup, what did you learn? I learned that, and then tell me one thing that you learned from this text. You can literally just pull something from this text and put it in that blank space. Go for it right now. You have a minute and a half. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to our next one. Now, our next level, remember, is our interpret level. So interpret is where we connect the reading to what we know. We're trying to connect the reading to the knowledge that we have. So you saw that oxygen produces water with hydrogen. You saw that her husband was murdered. What do you think about that? Let's go a little bit deeper. What do you think about the details in the reading? What's a little deeper meaning? And you know what? With the think, you can also turn the I think into a question. You can say, I think I need to know more about blank, or I think I need to read up on blank. Or you can make a statement. I think that this happened, and tell me what you think happened. You have a minute and a half. Go ahead and type that up right now. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the last part. And this is where it's going to get a little rough for y'all. This is where we go into the implications level. And implications are telling us how it's going to affect your work. What does this affect? How does this affect the way you're going to solve this murder mystery? What does the information in here and what you think about the information tell you you're going to have to deal with when you start solving the murder mystery? So let's go ahead and go to that checkup question. And it's, how does the reading affect the way you will solve the murder mystery? I am affected by blank. Now think about your element. Think about how your element could be affected by this. Think about how you as a detective could be affected by these facts. This is a witness report. And by the way, there's 32 of these witness reports. We're only looking at one right now. Think about that too. Go ahead, you have a minute and a half, type up your response, and then click submit.
Howdy team, Ryan Edwards here, and I wanted to give you some grows for the protocol that I ran as a mini lesson for our murder mystery. This was the 3 levels of text protocol, and I've previously been an English teacher on the high school level teaching sophomores, but I've never run a protocol where we're going through 3 levels, where we're starting off at the literal level and then going into our interpret level and then going on to the implications level, right? And I think it's a really powerful stair step. The only issue that I think with how I ran this is that how do you translate the idea of literal, the idea of interpret, the idea of implications to 6th graders? And I think I did it all right with the first 2 levels. I could have been more fluid. I could have had very specific pre-made things that I was going to say to them, but I was kind of coming up with the stuff off the spot, so that was a poor choice on my part. But here we have, you know, the literal level is actually pretty straightforward. You're just pulling from the text, right? You're recalling. So I was able to talk to them about something that they learned from the text. The interpret level is making connections back to something that you've already learned. So how does this connect back to something that you've already experienced or something that you've learned in class? And then where I kind of got a little messed up was the implications level. And like, how do you explain to a student, like, what are implications? What does it mean to be affected by something, right? And I think it's a little bit easier when you're having opposing viewpoints or someone else's viewpoint or someone else's personal experience. But here we're talking about just a murder mystery where we're talking about events that happened, right? So going deeper into the implications of how you're going to be affected is a little more difficult. You have to kind of finagle it a little bit more. So in this case, I was telling them, think about yourself as an element and think about how you're going to be affected by knowing that her husband died or by knowing about her physical properties. How do those things go and affect you? So I really don't know if affect was the right word. I'm still not quite there yet, but I'm interested to see what y'all think. One thing you didn't get to see during the video was that the students in between each level shared what they had written. So they at literal level and they shared, they went to the interpret level and they shared, and they went to the implications level and they shared. The one area of growth that I need for my classroom is I didn't actually have us reflect on the ideas or give feedback on the ideas as a whole group. It was more just share and listen. But there's an important point that needs to happen at the end of this activity where everyone just kind of gets together and just kind of pulls everything together and gets all the thoughts meshed into one synthesized thought, one synthesized idea, and they walk away with some sort of new belief or some sort of new understanding. Okay, hope this helps. Peace.